This is Arky's Porch. Coming up on the gathering, we will be relaying haunted stories about a ghost ship. Who doesn't like a good old scary ghost ship story? Fact or fiction? Coincidence? Imagination? Or terrifyingly true? Would you spend the night on the Alkimos? The following is a brief history on our next story, over 2 parts, about the haunted shipwreck, the Alkimos. The Alkimos Ship Wreck is a famous wreck in Perth, Western Australia. Haunted ships have been a fascination of the human mind since man inhabited the seas. One of the most famous ghost ships that boast paranormal activity and scary ghost stories is situated in Australia, and we look forward to sharing with you in 2 parts some of the most eerie, haunting, unexplained, and downright scary happenings that occurred on this ship and has affected many of those who have to endure staying on board. Although they didn't stay long.
The Alkimos was built in Baltimore, USA in 1943 as part of the Liberty Ship program for World War II. For 18 months she provided war service primarily in the Mediterranean and crewed by mariners of various nationalities, transporting cargo and serving as a troop ship in convoys that were often attacked by German aircraft and U-boats. During this time, rumours of construction workers having been welded between the ship's plating during construction began, with crews starting to report paranormal activity on board. All the while, the ship mysteriously dodged U-boat torpedoes, while sibling ships took hits and sunk. In 1944, a mysterious murder-suicide took place on board when it was stationed in Naples, Italy. Miss Maud Steen, a Canadian radio operator, was shot by a Norwegian gunnery officer, who then killed himself. The incident was hushed up. After the war, it was sold to a Greek shipping company. For the next 18 years, up to 1963, she sailed the world's oceans with various crew members coming and going, and many of them recounting ghostly sightings and frightening experiences whilst on board. In March of 1963, the ship was on a voyage when it struck a reef off the West Australia coast. It was salvaged and towed to Fremantle, the port city of Perth, where it underwent repairs for 2 months. After a settlement of a dispute concerning payment for the repairs, the Alkimos left Perth under tow only a few hours out of Fremantle port. The tow line mysteriously gave way and the Alkimos was driven back onto the shore. Although the ship remained intact, it could not be floated off at that time, and so was filled with water to secure it in place and left in charge of an onboard caretaker. In 1964, another tug returned to refloat the ship for a planned journey to Manila. But during the route, authorities seized the tug, leaving the Alkimos anchored and abandoned at sea. 4 months later, Alkimos broke anchor, and without any form of power or human control, she drove herself onto Eglinton Rocks. During this time, she was more severely damaged, and all thought of salvaging it intact was abandoned. The Alkimos was later sold for scrap by her owners. However, in 1969, salvage workers were driven off the wreck by a mysterious fire. One of the salvage workers also reported hearing ghostly noises during this time. After this, the partly dismantled remains of the ship sat in several metres of water, visible to visitors, but gradually disintegrating. For the next 40 years, the Alkimos existed as a landmark for the area, rusting away from the relentless pounding of the Indian Ocean. Over the years, several salvage crews visited and numerous caretakers lived on board, all with their own frightening experiences. There were reports of injuries, strange disappearances, and odd sightings that could never be explained. Other boat engines nearby just failed for no apparent reason each time they approached the Alkimos. Some people say that the reasons for some of these hauntings and strange events on the Alkimos are allegations during its hasty construction. It is said that welders were sealed between hulls and their ghosts have haunted the vessel ever since. There's also a story of apparitions of a small dog in the engine room during the ship's service. Also, a woman reportedly who was working on board as a caretaker suffered a very serious fall, resulting in the birth of a premature stillborn baby. Phenomena reported by salvage workers occupying the wreck, hearing footsteps on ladders, cooking smells, and noises coming from the kitchen. Tools have been reported to be moved by unseen hands. An apparition of a human figure in rubber boots and oilskins, nicknamed Henry, has been sighted on the wreck by various people, including local cray fishermen. The human skull of Herbert Boy, a prominent long-distance swimmer, being found near the wreck after he vanished in 1969 on an attempted swim between Cotslow Beach and Rottnest Island. These are just some of the stories that we will be telling in different parts about the ship Alkimos. There are so many to tell and can't all be done in one go. Horse riding enthusiasts claim their horses refuse to gallop past the wreck. Dogs become erratic and distressed in the area. Numerous stories of near drownings, engine failures and accidents near the wreck were reported. Jack Wong Soo, author of Ghost of Alkimos, was hospitalised under a respiratory disease after researching this ship. A US Navy submariner by the name of Ted Snyder was killed in a plane crash after assessing the wreck. Some of these could be classed as coincidental, but all of them can't possibly be. Please stay with us for the next part in the ghostly haunting of the shipwreck Alkimos.